All right, everybody, about 15 seconds have gone by. I'm going to start doing this thing. My name is Ricky Mali, and I'm going to try to um, use this stream to rehearse a talk I'm going to give on how to make a simple ebook. Just going to go through these slides. You can see there's not a lot because the majority of the content will be me trying to make an actual ebook using some content. Hopefully I can pull that off. I am going to be taking some time to rehearse and take notes on some of these steps, so it won't be completely linear. This first one, anyway. I don't even know if I'm going to even have a chance to rename this stream, but yeah. So that's what I'm going to do here. Um, I'll make a simple ebook. I think when people come to the talk, I'm going to present them with some agenda. Um, Namely, I'm going to talk about myself and a little ebook that I made, which gives me a little bit of experience with making a little ebook. And then I'm going to talk about what's inside an ebook, and then we're going to just make one. We're going to try to make one using some content that I had found, and somebody mentioned in a Slack message. I'm going to try that out. And again, this is again a hardly rehearsed. This is the rehearsal. This is the rehearsal right here. So um, when I talk about the ebook, I want to first mention that I wrote an ebook. Um, I the book is called "I Couldn't Keep It to a Tweet." It sells for $2.99 on Amazon. There's no need to rush out and buy the thing. Only 9 people have purchased this book. But the purpose of me writing the book or writing the ebook was to go through the process of, of making some content that was sellable. Um, I suppose on the one hand, what all I did was make some content because it's proven to be quite unsellable. But I haven't really tried very much to sell it. I haven't tried to market it or anything. And this talk won't be about marketing. It won't be about trying to sell a book. It'll be about just how to make an ebook, make a book that would be suitable for something like Amazon. So the book, this presentation is for people who want to create something and want to do something. I think for people who want to take a little bit of a step back to think about how we got to this place, I direct people to this great video. And this thing is, I'll go to it here. Um, Terrific little YouTube on
kids in grades 6 to 11, Harvard has made SAT and
terrific little ebook on how to understand and think about the journey of ebooks by Michael Sowers over at the Nebraska Library Commission. I liked his presentation, and what I liked about it is he talks about in his slides. I'm going to open this in a separate tab here. He talks about the history of ebooks, and from this presentation you can see he outlines this history where in 2007 the Amazon Kindle appeared, which is what I think most people are targeting these days. But ebooks have always been around in some way, shape, or form. What I also like is that his presentation, let me see if I can get to it here. he talks about the major ebook formats. There's a format called the Mobi Pocket, which is the the format used by Amazon, using of course, their proprietary DRM, digital rights management. But then the one we're going to look at today is ePub. He also points out that the inside of the Kindle, the actual files that are in there are Amazon files, AZW. Um, Maybe for my next rehearsal, I'll try to get this. I'm try to get this. Um, try to get this. How do I try to understand more of the internals of the AWZ format? I was not sharing the screen, so let me go and switch over to it. Um, it was this slide that I was showing here. That's what I was trying to show on the screen for the last say 2 minutes. PDFs are also supported as an ebook format, but that's not something that we're going to cover in this hackathon course. People might be wondering, let's get to the point. Let's start doing the actual work. And what is the work itself? What is inside of an ebook? Well, an ebook is just a zip file full of HTML files, specifically files that end in files that are XHTML. And XHTML is to some extent a stricter form of HTML, where every starting tag must have an ending tag, whereas HTML for the browser is a little more loose. But I think it's safe. I think it's fine to think of it as simply HTML. So that's what's inside an ebook. And what I'll do now is just demonstrate what's going on inside of the ebook by taking one and examining it. I worked with this author, Don Jones. He himself is a published author and a self-published author, and he had some ideas for how to write technical books. He put it all into an ebook that he called Immediately Effective Instruction. And when I double click on it, it's going to open my ebook reader, which is, I downloaded this 2 weeks ago. It's called Aquil. But as you can see, this is the features of an ebook, and this is Don Jones' content. There's also a table of contents that you can access from here, and because it's an ebook, this reader lets you even do notes and things like that. I'm not here to describe how to read a book using an e-reader. I'm assuming most people here have had that experience. You want to write your own. But let's take a look at this book and figure out what its composition is. I think one of the things that is interesting is that you can take this e-book and just open it as an archive file. When you do, you find that it actually contains a file called MIME type. It contains a whole bunch of XHTML files, and it contains some information, meta information. If I double click on this, I'm just going to open this XML in Notepad. You can see it contains media information, but the general shape of it is a zip file, which is proven because I opened it as a zip file using this zip tool that I have. It's a zip file that contains XHTML files. Now, it's a little funky to look at it inside of a zip tool. So I'm going to take a moment now to introduce everyone to the tool of choice that I think is best for reading these kinds of eBooks, and that is Sigil. Sigil is a ePub authoring tool, and it is open source, and it is available for Windows, Mac, as well as Linux, and it constructs both ePub 2 and ePub 3 formatted books. And using other tools and using Amazon's own delivery mechanisms, you can convert your ePubs into something that can be read on an Amazon Kindle. Sigil, let's use Sigil to open up this ePub. To do that, I just open the file here like this. It's going to make some comment about XHTML. I'm just going to ignore it. And once again, very similar to the output that you saw in the previous screen. It's a zip full of XHTML files. And Sigil as a tool views all of the XHTML files, as well as provides a simple preview here. There's also other sections of this tool that allow you to generate table of contents and to edit them. Here we can edit them, change them. There's also the ability to take an XHTML file, and even though it lays out properly in the preview, inside of the file itself, you can also reformat it so that it makes it a little more legible for the internal author. Although I notice when I do that, it does introduce extra spacing, so that's something I didn't expect. And the Sigil tool, when you give it an ePub, allows you to navigate it using the table of contents that was previously generated. And again, as you see here, it has the ability to preview. One of the things that ePubs have are CSS files. CSS files drive the style of the book. This class is not about teaching HTML or CSS. I'm assuming you know some of the very basics, and we'll go through it when we construct our own ePub. But styles is a way to control how the HTML is rendered on the page. Maybe what some of the margin widths are, how big some of the fonts should be, that kind of thing. There's also other folders here that are empty, but these suggest that ePubs have the ability to add additional media here. This class will only talk about text. We'll try to get something going with an image. I think what I'll do now is talk about the ebook that we're going to try to make to motivate us for the rest of this class. We looked at what's inside an ebook. It's a bunch of XHTML files. We understand that the contents of it is just HTML and CSS, and we have a tool, Sigil, that seems to package everything properly, and we can use this to generate an ePub. maybe if it wasn't apparent before, we opened this inside of Sigil, but clearly we can also save in a file from Sigil into an ePub format. Now, us to make an ePub, I would propose these are the steps. One is you'll need to familiarize yourselves with some of these key concepts, HTML and CSS. There's nothing more. You'll need to write and obtain some content. Write or obtain some content. Clearly, if you're here in this class, you probably want to write your own content. You probably have a novel that you want to write. Maybe you have a set of short stories, or maybe you've collected a bunch of really cool tweets that you want to elaborate on. I don't know. But with the power of e-publishing, you can self-publish your thoughts, put it out on the internet, and maybe you can get people to read it. Maybe people will latch onto it. Maybe you have a platform. So it's a natural step for you to provide content for your readers or for the people who participate on your platform. Writing or obtaining content. For tooling, we're going to use things like Microsoft Word or Apple Pages. I'm not on a Mac, and Apple Pages has the ability to emit a ePub. We're instead going to work in Microsoft Word, but there's lots of other opportunities to generate or to use other tools that'll help you author content as well, and then emit or output ePub format. But we're going to go the perhaps the hard way, but a way for us to see all the different aspects of making an EPUB. In order to do that, we're going to find some content. We're going to convert it into an EPUB. So the second step of it will be to format the content. And I think I just want to check the. I thought there was something here that let me. Interesting. I thought there was something here that let me check the spelling. But again, for formatting and laying out, we're going to use something like Sigil, and then we're going to finally talk about maybe a book cover. For the ebook that I made a book cover. Amazon publishers, Amazon wants publishers to provide covers, and I thought this was a pretty neat cover, and I'll talk about how that's constructed. So without getting too far afield, I found this content online. It's called, I don't have it here. Rudy Rucker. Rudy Rucker is a author and somebody who's prominent in sci-fi circles. Let me just quickly find my chat window. Pardon me. Just making sure nobody is. Set this UI. No, that's fine. Um, Pardon me. Let me go back to this and make it easier. I'm going to go try to find the other window where I might see some of the. Okay, good. Okay, yeah, just checking. Here's this chat window here. Okay. So what I have here is a a Rudy Rucker, and on it he had made he had downloaded somehow a copy of this anthology by Bruce Sterling, a renowned cyber, and on it in it is a bunch of short stories, and Rudy puts it on his Twitter. I'm gonna find it right here. Rudy Rucker says, "Hey, you can read this book online. I made a web page for it." And I think a lot of people, first of all, a lot of people were a little worried that, hey, this is a copyright thing. And the short answer is yes, there is a copyright thing happening here, but the Rudy Rucker is a little bit subversive in publishing this information on his website, but he's way more famous than I am. And as a result, I think I'm going to go and attempt to at least make an ePub for my own private use. That's another great reason to learn how to make an ePub, because then you can take content that you find on the internet and convert it for your own private use on your Kindle or on your ebook reader, whichever ebook reader you happen to use. The ebook content looks like this. Here's the table of contents, if you will, and then he he actually on his HTML has links to the various pages, and the links themselves are just HTML anchor tags. You can see here Calibre, which is going to be a hint that we're going to be using the Calibre tool. So we have that to look forward to. Now, this content itself is there's a good amount of words here, and even though there's, I think, let me go all the way back to the beginning. I think there's like 12 stories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 13 stories. So if we want to make this an EPUB, how do we go about taking this that you probably don't want to read on an HTML page in your browser? Some people do. Some people, if they hit this, will find that, hey, you know what? It's a little bit better laid out. And this is the reader view in Mozilla Firefox. But again, it doesn't match the capability of my Kindle, where I can just read this while I'm watching TV, or read this while I'm eating my breakfast, or something like that. And I'm on a laptop, so I could conceivably bring my laptop around to read it, but it doesn't beat an EPUB reader, an ebook reader's convenience. So we have this content here. I'm going to switch back to the HTML. What we need to do to get this into an EPUB is first grab this content and convert it into HTML. Now, people who are savvy will say, "Oh, Rick, this is already in HTML," and it's true. You can get it into HTML just by getting the source of it, which is like this. We look at the source, and there you can see there's all these P with a class here, but this represents maybe a paragraph. And if I grab this paragraph here, I'll just put this in Notepad. You can see this is a paragraph of text. Um, we can do it that way, but because we're going to use the EPUB as an opportunity to lay out the content ourselves, I'm not interested in these class settings for the paragraph style. So the easiest way, or the way that I think may fit the most natural way, is to use something like Word and and copy the text in manually. So by that I mean we're going to take a blank document. We're going to go do something like this. Control A, Control C, and then I'm just going to pop it all into this Microsoft Word document. And you see we have here a word count. Um, what? 260 pages? That's a surprise to me. But the copy and paste, because now that's what we get with copy and paste into Microsoft Word. We have a very bare bones layout. And instead of these links, what we'll do is we'll just cut down the content so that it just contains only the pieces that we're interested in. So what we'll do now is break down this document. Now, what that means is that we're going to just remove, like, say, everything from the preface all the way to the beginning of the book, for example. So if I do that, it looks like that, for example. Um, and maybe we have this notion here of the author's name and then the title of the book. That's how the layout of the web page works. So we have the author and then the title, and we have a little bit of a story of the story here. And what that means is we can apply maybe a different style to that paragraph, for example. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to convert this Word document into what is a simple format of what we actually want to put in the ePub. And I think what I'll do is, at this point, stop here and rehearse this some more. That's about, well, I think we went about 26 seconds. So I'm going to see what this looks like, check out what the how it formatted to me, etc. And stay tuned. If you happen to catch this, just check in on this channel and see me try to rehearse this again. Um, I'm obviously going to try to make this thing more polished as I get closer to the presentation date, which is a few weeks. All right. Thank you very much. Talk soon.